So today we discuss about the biomolecules and the part 2. That means we discuss about the carbohydrate, right? So at first we discuss some bonds which is involved in the biomolecules. But you know that the monosaccharide is the amino acids all is the micromolecules. But how the macromolecules are formed? When the macromolecules are joined together, right? Next, when they are polymer in size, that time they are called the macromolecules. So in our carbohydrate part we discuss the micromolecules and the macromolecules. So at first we discuss about the bonds. Bonds involved in the biomolecules. Peptide bonds, that is most important bonds in the case of protein. On the other hand, in our today part in carbohydrate, the glycosidic is take the important role for the production of polysaccharides. On the other hand, phosphodiester bonds also is very important and it is present in the nucleic acid. And the hydrogen bonds also it is present, between the two nitrogenous base, and the hydrophobic interaction or hydrophobic bonds, that is also the importance in our for protein formations. And the disulfide bond also it is present in the sulfur containing amino acids. So this is the different type of bonds involved in the biomolecules. Please you write down first their names. Okay. Next we discuss about the first type of bonds, that is a peptide bond. Peptide bond present between the two amino acids. You know the amino acid, their general structure is CH, and one side of this structure of the amino acid COH bond is there, on the other hand NH2 bond is there. But when the two amino acids are joined together, that time these peptide bonds are formed. So peptide bond, you always bear in mind, it is present in between the two amino acids. Proteins peptide bonds, that is some tricks about these bonds. So amino acids 1 and 2 are joined together by peptide bonds and then protein are formed. Next we discuss about the glycosidic bonds. In the glycosidic bonds, that is the two monosaccharides ultimately joined together by the glycosidic bond. Two monosaccharides like glucose, like fructose, like galactose, all is joined together by the glycosidic bond. So glycosidic bond is present in the carbohydrate. Now next we discuss about the phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond present in the nucleic acid. So phosphodiester bond present in the nucleic acid, that means it is the DNA and in the RNA. But where it is present? It is present between the two nucleotides. Two nucleotides are joined together between the 5 and 3 carbon atoms by the help of phosphodiester bonds. So phosphate and hydroxyl group take the important role in the phosphodiester bonds. Next one, the hydrogens bond. Hydrogens bonds are present between the two nitrogenous base. The nitrogenous base is there, adenine and thymine, guanine and cytosine, and always A bind up with T by the two hydrogen bonds. On the other hand, G always bind up with C, the 3 hydrogen bonds, where it is present in between the two DNA strands. Two DNA strands are joined together by these hydrogen bonds. Another two bonds is present in the structure of protein, that is the hydrophobic interactions and the disulfide bonds. So the naturally the neutral, the amino acids are joined together by hydrophobic interactions and the proteins are joined together by the disulfide bonds. Now we are going to our next part, that is the carbohydrate. So at first this chapter we discuss about the chemical point of view, because this is the part of the biochemistry. So at first we discuss the structure of the carbohydrate and their definitions in the chemical form. So the carbohydrate is defined as polyhydroxyaldose and ketose. That means the poly means the many and hydroxy means OH group is present in their structure, and the aldose and ketose, that means the CHO and or the C double bond O, that means the keto group are present in the carbohydrate structure. And general formula CnH2O to the power n. Right? You tell me what is the structure of the glucose? Glucose C6H12 and O6. In that structure, what is the number of N? 6. You just put in the N and 6. You find out the formula of the glucose. So this is the general formula of monosaccharides. Now we classify the carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are classified into the three groups: monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharides. Monosaccharide means it is the only single unit of the monomer, so it is called the mono, means the single. Saccharides means sugar. On the other hand, when the two monosaccharide units are joined together, that time the disaccharide are formed. On the other hand, when the many monosaccharides are joined together, that time the polysaccharides are formed. These three important sugars or the saccharides is very important in our syllabus. At first we discuss some example of the monosaccharides, that is the common example is the glucose. Point of their functional group, monosaccharide are classified are aldose and the ketose. Why it is called the aldose? Because the aldehyde group are present in there. On the other hand, the ketose, that means C double bond O, keto group are present in the monosaccharide structure. So what is the example of aldose? So it is the example of the glucose. On the other hand, you know the ketose is the most common example is the fructose, where the fructose is the ketose example because the structure of the fructose we are the C double bond O or keto functional group. So this is the as their functional group you classify the carbohydrate monosaccharides. Now we are classified the another one things, that is the monosaccharides according to the carbon atom. But at first we give some examples of disaccharide. And next we discuss about some details about it, but the common example of disaccharide is the sucrose. On the other hand, the polysaccharides, you know, most common example cellulose, glycogen is most of them is present in our nature is the in polysaccharides form. Now we discuss about the classification of monosaccharides according to their carbon atom. Carbon atom means in their structure how many carbons is present. You know the glucose, how many carbon is there? There is a 6 number of carbon atoms. So now we classify the monosaccharides according to their carbon atom. So these are the triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose and heptose. So what is the meaning of that? The triose means the 3 carbon atom is present in their structure. Tetrose means 4 carbon atom present. Pentose means 5 carbon atoms. Hexose means 6 carbon atoms and heptose means 7 carbon atom present in their structure. So at first we discuss about some common example of the triose. That is very important information also we give, that is in the cellular respiration chapter. In that point of view, the triose, you know the 3 carbon is there, number 1, 2 and 3, right? So it is called the triose because the 3 carbon is there. Most common example is the glyceraldehyde. This is a common example of triose. Now we discuss about the structure of tetrose. Tetrose means the 4 carbon atom is there. You know the 1, 2, 3 and 4 carbon atom is there, and the common example is the erythrose. But most common example of the sugar or monosaccharide is the pentose, that is in the structure of nucleic acid. It is the DNA and RNA. You know the nucleic acid is the 2 types, DNA and RNA. What is their full form? Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. So if you draw the structure of the pentose in the cyclic form, you find out the 5 carbon atom present in the structure of ribose, also in the deoxyribose. This is the 5 carbon atom. So this is the number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The 5 carbon atom present in the ribose sugar. So what is the difference between the deoxyribose, that is present the sugar of the DNA, In that case of the DNA, you know that two number of carbon atoms, it is the deoxy, that means the oxygen is deleted from the carbon, two number carbon. So it is the 2-deoxyribose, that means the two number of carbon, it is H and H, not the OH. OH in the case of ribose. But most common example of the monosaccharides is the hexose. That is the most common form, that is the D-glucose, D-galactose and the D-fructose. D-glucose, you know, most common example of the monosaccharides, and we are very important and familiar to this type of glucose. And general formula C6H12 and O6. Also the galactose and fructose, also the common example of hexose. And the heptose, their carbon atom is 7. 7 carbon atom present in their structure, and the common example is the pseudoheptose. So that is a very important question in your school. That is, classify the monosaccharide according to their carbon atom. That time you just write down in this chart form. First write down the names, and next point you write down their carbon numbers, and third point you write down some examples. Okay, this is a very important question for your school. Now we discuss about the some structure of glucose. So how you write down the structure of the glucose? You know the glucose is present in the 6 carbon atom. So you first you write down the 6 carbon atom in serial point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. But in number 1 carbon atoms, so in the number 1 carbon atoms, the aldehyde group is present, that is a CHO. So this is the aldose. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 carbon atoms present in the glucose. But most important thing is the number 3 carbons, where the OH is present in that site. And but another all carbon is contain the H in that particular site. That is very important features of the glucose structure. And if you write down this structure in the cyclic form, so how you write down this thing? This is the oxygen molecule is there, and you just write down in that form. It is also the 6 carbon containing part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And here the 3 carbon atom, OH is present in the upside and the H is present in the downside. So this is the cyclic form of the glucose structure. And when you discuss the structure of the monera, that time you discuss about the structure of peptidoglycan. You just remember that the NAM and NAG, that is the two important sugar is there. N-acetyl glucosamine and N-acetyl muramic acid. But what is it? Because this is the amine sugar. Amino sugar means the amine group is present. So monosaccharide plus the amino group is present in that structure, so it is called the amino sugar, right? So these are very important 1 mark questions. What is the amino sugar, and give some example. Next of one, that is most important questions, that is the disaccharide. Di means the two ultimately sugar unit or monosaccharide unit are joined together. This is called the disaccharide. 2 monosaccharide unit, but what type of bond is present there in their structure? That is a glycosidic bond. In our class 11 syllabus, the disaccharide ultimately classified into the 3 groups, or 3 example also it is lactose, maltose and the sucrose. That is the 3 important example of disaccharide. But the lactose is the milk sugar. Why it is milk sugar? Because we are obtaining the lactose from the milk. So it is the milk sugar. But very important question arises, it is the disaccharide. So what is the monosaccharide unit present in their structure? In their structure, glucose and galactose, the 2 monosaccharide unit are joined together by the glycosidic bond. Another important features, the lactose is the reducing sugar. These very important properties of the lactose sugar. Next we discuss about the structure of maltose. Maltose means this is called the malt sugar. And why it is malt sugar? Because from this malt or we get the maltose. And what is their monosaccharide unit? Glucose plus glucose. So 2 glucose unit is there in the case of maltose. Also it is the reducing sugar. Third one, it is the sucrose. Sucrose is ultimately found from the sugar cane. You know, very important sugar, and it is also called the cane cane sugar. Sugar cane is the most common example or the source of the sucrose. But what is the monosaccharide unit present in the sucrose? That is the glucose plus fructose. So in the lactose, glucose plus galactose, maltose, glucose plus glucose, and sucrose, glucose plus fructose, right? But the sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. And from that part in your school, a short question is coming. Write the short note of lactose, write the short note of maltose, and short note of sucrose. You write this information only, right? So this is very important part of the disaccharides. Next one, we discuss about the polysaccharide. Polysaccharides means many monosaccharide units are joined together. That time it is called the polysaccharides. And polysaccharide are classified into the two groups. And like it is called the homopolysaccharide and the heteropolysaccharide. Homo means when they are same, hetero means different. When the monosaccharides are joined together, same type of monosaccharide is there. That time it is called the monosaccharides or homopolysaccharides. Same or one type of monosaccharide. That means glucose, 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 all the glucose units are present in the homopolysaccharide. Common example, starch and the glycogen. On the other hand, some heteropolysaccharides. Heteropolysaccharide, you know. Hetero means a different. So glucose, next galactose, next fructose, and next glucose. So different type of monosaccharide units are there. That is called the heteropolysaccharides. Most common example is the peptidoglycan, where the NAM and NAM, the two different monosaccharides unit, are joined together and form the heteropolysaccharide. But in our syllabus, the starch is very important polysaccharides, and they are very important role in our system, in our ecosystem. Now, but what is the structure of the starch? You know, starch belongs to homopolymer or homopolysaccharides. So they are joined together by the glucose unit by the glycosidic bond. But glucose unit is joined by the same linear fashions or some branches there in their structure. According to this, until starch, the glycosidic bond is there. What is the name of the glycosidic bond? Alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. What is the mean by 1 and 4? Because two monosaccharide units, first ultimately monosaccharide, their carbon atom 1, next monosaccharide unit, their carbon atom 4. These are joined together at the bond. So that time it is called 1,4 glycosidic linkage. But this is a long polymer, not only the 2, 3 or 5 monosaccharide units are present. So it's like the 1000 monosaccharide units are present. But how they are ultimately form the structure? If they are ultimately form the linear form, that time this structural format is called the amylose. On the other hand, some monosaccharides are ultimately have the branch form. In case of starch, it is called the amylopectin. So in the structure of starch, these two parts, amylose and amylopectins, both are present in the structure of starch. Some part are amylose and some extra part, another part is the amylopectin form. Right? So amylose is the linear form, amylopectin is the branch form. But you know the glycogen, this is also we call the animal starch, because in our body the glycogen is present, but where? It is present in our liver, right? Very important. But most famous polysaccharide, that is the cellulose. Where it is present? Very important question. Short question for 1 marks. It is present in the cell wall of the plant cell. But fungal cell wall also we called in the chitin. Also it is the one type of polysaccharides. That is the 1 marks question, and this is the carbohydrate. So at first we discuss about the 3 part: monosaccharides, disaccharide and polysaccharide. Monosaccharide are classified according to their functional group. That means it is the aldose and ketose. Next we classify the monosaccharide according to the carbon atom. That means the triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose and heptose. Next we discuss about the disaccharide, and here the maltose, lactose is very important disaccharides, and finally we discuss about the polysaccharides. Two type of polysaccharides is there: homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. And they discuss about the structure of starch, that is the amylose and amylopectin format of structure present in the starch. So this is our carbohydrate part is 8. Next part we discuss about some protein structure. Next we discuss about some DNA structure. Okay, thank you very much for carbohydrate.